Tonight, intense debate for and against rezoning in Saskatoon as the city hopes to access millions of federal dollars. Also, from war zones to new beginnings, what Canada means to 3 women who came to Saskatchewan as refugees. Plus, find your umbrella. Parts of our province are bracing for some real wet weather.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Thursday, June 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thank you for watching. A housing debate is dividing the residents of Saskatoon. The city's revamping its zoning rules so it can access millions of dollars in federal assistance. And as Pratush Dayal reports, it will mean bigger and more intensive developments in some areas people want to protect.
Saskatoon City Councillors are hearing from concerned citizens who want to speak up about the city's proposed zoning rules. The rules would allow fourplexes across the city and 4-story building apartments to be built in certain neighborhoods. The end goal? To boost affordability and address the housing crisis. The zoning changes are part of several eligibility requirements for the city to access cash from Ottawa's Housing Accelerator Fund. More than $41 million is up for grabs. It's been a hot debate. About 50 people plan to speak out at Thursday's special council meeting. The city has also received nearly 400 letters for and against the proposed changes. Housing advocates say the money is urgently needed.
I'll say things are already going wrong. This month, I know of 4 people with full-time jobs making over or around $20 an hour who could no longer afford the last round of rent increases. One considered giving their child to the ministry so they didn't have to be homeless with them. Consider what that would be like telling to your child.
It's an opportunity for the city to increase housing stock, and specifically affordable housing stock, and to generate economic activity.
Others are worried about how fourplexes or apartment buildings could negatively impact the neighborhoods.
The potential devaluation of my property that I purchased and have continually invested in over the years is a major concern. The certainty of the current zoning was a significant factor in my investment decisions, and the proposed changes undermine that certainty. The continued investment I made, I believe, have enhanced the area. Had I known that this type of change would be proposed, I would not have purchased there.
I and many of my neighbors do not want to see this history interrupted with fourplexes and 4-story structures. The proposed rezoning will destroy a big part of the history of our city, an architectural style of the 60s that is fully intact.
The city administration says more money from Ottawa is dependent on this vote. So if it doesn't go through, future infrastructure projects will be in jeopardy. Pratush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And here we go again. It looks like we're going to be in for another round of active weather. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. Where are we at?
Well, we got rainfall warning, Sam, in place for West Central and the Saskatoon regions of the province, including Kindersley, Rosetown, around Saskatoon, Outlook, Davidson areas, and then off toward Wynyard and Wadena. And this is for 40 to 60 millimeters of rain. Could be some heavier pockets in there that produce upwards of 80 millimeters by the end of the day tomorrow. We are also watching something else that this system is causing, and that is the development of some funnel clouds or even weak landspout tornadoes that briefly touch the ground. That is still a possibility in the southwest as we head through the evening tonight, so good to keep an eye out for that. It's in that area of the province where we're already seeing some moderate to heavy showers start to move through. And a few thunderstorms starting to pop up here now as this whole thing gets closer and closer to Saskatoon. The good news in this is that we were potentially going to be seeing a severe thunderstorm threat with this system with a warm front moving in, but it looks like most of the severe storms are staying to our south. We are still seeing a few thunderstorms in southeastern Saskatchewan now, but you can really see where that line of storms along the warm front has now developed in eastern Montana and the western Dakotas. I think the severe weather is going to stay there for the evening. But Sam, it is almost a guarantee that we are going to see some heavy rain with the potential for flooding even in some areas. So good to keep an eye out there.
We will. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
The Saskatchewan government ended the last fiscal year with $182 million in surplus, and that is a lot lower than the original forecast, but higher than some projections. Finance Minister Donna Harpower says increased tax revenue and a strong economy helped the province avoid a deficit. Now, initially, there was a $1 billion forecasted surplus, but larger expenses on agriculture reduced that. The province had to spend more on crop insurance payouts to cover last year's drought. Also, non-cash adjustments related to inflation and pensions caused expenses to increase, making that billion-dollar surplus not possible. But the finance minister says $682 million from the Canada Revenue Agency largely saved the balance sheet.
The largest unexpected revenue was the corporate income tax. The corporate income tax in the fourth quarter was much larger than what we had projected, because the CRA basically came forward with it in that last quarter.
The opposition NDP slammed the government for collecting more taxes and fees during an affordability crisis. Finance critic Trent Wotherspoon called the surplus announcement smoke and mirrors. The next provincial election is scheduled for late October. Saskatchewan's first urgent care centre will open in Regina next week. The centre will provide mental health and emergency care services, lab work, x-rays, as well as consultations with psychiatrists, nurses, and doctors. It's located at Albert Street and 7th Avenue. 40 doctors have already signed on to be part of the rotation, and 117 permanent staff have been hired to work here. The new facility will have an area specifically for people needing treatment for mental health and addictions, something the Premier says is essential.
We know that our emergency rooms are not the best access point for those that may be struggling with a mental health crisis or have entered a life of addiction. And so we need to relook at, how are our friends, those that need, whether it be mental health supports or an entry point into a recovery-oriented system of care, how are we best providing that access so that when they are ready to make that decision, that we are able to take them by the hand and get them in front of the services that they need.
The centre opens on Tuesday after the Canada Day holiday Monday. It will operate from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. 7 days a week. That's expected to expand to 24 hours a day this fall. The centre expects to see about 20,000 patients each year. Over at Regina City Hall, a big discussion at City Council yesterday about renaming Dudney Avenue. It's named after Edgar Dudney, the 19th century politician who helped establish residential schools. Councillors Andrew Stevens and Dan LeBlanc have been pushing to change the street name, and council heard from many people who agree with them.
I am only one person of thousands that continue to be negatively affected by residential schools and intergenerational trauma. Edgar Dudney was an active participant in the genocide of Indigenous peoples. It is time to make a change to face the truth of Regina's dark colonial past. Changing the name of Dudney Avenue would be a remarkable legacy to take those steps forward in supporting reconciliation.
And to change the street name was tabled until August. Councillors say renaming the street could cost millions of dollars, but advocates say that shouldn't matter.
Renaming Dudney Avenue is the least that we can do on our path towards reconciliation. We've got so much work to get to before we actually get to reconciliation, right? It goes truth, some justice, then we'll get reconciliation, and maybe we can have some peace. We can't even agree on the truth, right? And the truth is Edgar Dudney was not that good of a guy. I went to McGill University. Got a Bachelor of Education there, played football for 5 years, coached for a year, and McGill used to be called the Redmond. Now, chalk it up to youthful exuberance, maybe a little bit of ignorance, but I got a tattoo. I got the Redmond tattoo, which was the native headdress with the word Redmond, and I was really proud of that because I worked really hard for that, I thought. And a number of years went by, and you learn a bit more, and you read a few more books, and you have a bit more understanding, and then it's like, oh wow, I'm literally wearing my ignorance on my sleeve. Us as a city, we're literally wearing our ignorance on our sleeve. It's time to remove the Dudney tattoo, right? I didn't remove mine. I got mine covered up. I paid a good friend of mine, an Indigenous artist, to cover it up. Did it cost some money? Yes. Was it uncomfortable? Yes. Was it the right thing to do? Unequivocally. If we're going to keep sitting here as a white-facing council and keep talking about lip service with reconciliation, and we keep bringing up the cost, what is the cost not to change this?
Canada Day is just around the corner. On Monday is July 1st. It's a national holiday that can bring out a lot of different emotions in people. For some, it means celebrating a place that gave them a sense of safety and a new beginning. And for others, it's more complicated than that. Aishwarya Dudda spoke to 3 women about what Canada means to them.
As this group of Afghan refugees arrived in Saskatoon in 2021, Sumaya Javadi could finally breathe easy.
When Kabul fell to the Taliban and we were fleeing the country, I was constantly in fear that I might lose my mom, my dad, any minute now. What does Canada mean to me? Canada is a place where my mom and my dad are safe.
Javadi faced discrimination in Afghanistan, both as a woman and Hazara, a religious and ethnic minority. But in Canada, she enjoys a different feeling.
I have been the freest, the most equal woman that I have ever been in my life.
This Ukrainian woman also fled violence. A Russian missile struck close to the school where she was teaching.
I remember my mom was calling me and telling Victoria, the war began. So I said, no, which war, Mama? I'm going to go to work.
Victoria Zakharchuk moved to Saskatoon with her son in 2022. She says the kindness and warmth of Canadians has given her strength.
Even my heart is still aching for my homeland and for my family members as the war is still going on in there. But I'm very grateful because I can see the future here for my son.
Now she's teaching English to other Ukrainians and working as a translator. Bani Narjman also made the treacherous journey out of Afghanistan. She's found great success in Saskatoon, even winning a $100,000 scholarship. But while she too is grateful, Canada isn't exactly what she expected.
What happened with Indigenous people here, because when you're in a different part of the country or different part of the world, you don't hear a lot about it, and it's kind of in shadow.
Since arriving in Canada, she's learned about the residential school system and how Indigenous children were taken from their parents and in some cases abused and buried in graves that are still being discovered.
Things are good here, but definitely there's a lot to change. There's a lot that people need to work on.
But for her and Javadi, Canada is still a chance at a brighter future. Javadi had to drop out of dentistry school when the Taliban seized power. But now she's studying at the University of Saskatchewan and hopes to become a dentist.
I lost everything, but Canada offered me a second chance. And I think everyone deserves it. Every human deserves it.
Aishwarya Dudda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Under the cloudiest of cloudy skies in Regina today, sprinkles of rain too before the bigger event later tonight. And tomorrow, the return of that gusting wind. Oh, this coming long weekend is really shaping up to be a mixed bag and a cool one at that. Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. European scientists have the latest data on carbon emissions above the Arctic Circle for June, and it shows the 3rd highest level in 2 decades. As the planet warms with climate change, the Arctic is witnessing more wildfires, believe it or not. Burning boreal forests and tundra have been spewing massive amounts of greenhouse gas into the atmosphere. Most of the fires are burning in Russia's north, where they are prone to extreme weather. More than 160 wildfires are burning there, covering nearly 500,000 hectares.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln. Truck time is on now.
You know, Ethan, I have to say, as much as people are sick of the rain, I'd rather talk about rain than wildfires.
Yeah, it's true. And, you know, all of last year, of course, we were talking about the wildfire situation, an unprecedented year, a complete 180 this year, especially in our province. You know, the other thing that has been going on, in addition to the kind of wetter conditions, is the fact that we haven't been very warm, and our forecast not looking like we're going to see this real intense heat anytime soon. Comfortable temperatures actually today through central Saskatchewan, the Churchill region, actually the nicest part of the province temperature-wise today. But you can see where that rain has now started moving into south and central because the temperatures are dropping down to 12 right now in Swift Current with some showers. Still 22 though at the moment in Hudson Bay. And with that system starting to move in, we're starting to see those wind gusts pick up as well. Likely only to get stronger, but right now in the 40 to 50 range in some parts of west central Saskatchewan. So how the rest of this is going to play out is likely like this. The warm front from this going to bring some showers through Regina and southeastern Saskatchewan into the evening hours tonight. This is when the heavier rain begins in west central parts of the province, and that is likely to continue as this low kind of stalls out a bit over the Alberta-Saskatchewan border, and it's really kind of along that Yellowhead corridor as we head overnight where the heaviest of that rain is likely going to be falling. Moves out pretty quickly though as we get into tomorrow morning, and then it's still kind of the Parkland region and southeastern Saskatchewan's issue as we get a little bit later into the day. Regina probably still picking up a few showers later into the afternoon, but look at this, clearing skies back out to the west later tomorrow afternoon for Saskatoon and west central Saskatchewan. As this area of high pressure begins to move in, we will get some sunshine for Saturday. But in the meantime, still in the range of maybe 50 to 70 millimeters, locally higher amounts, kind of in that bullseye just west of Saskatoon there. And closer to the Yorkton area, we could see some amounts maybe near 40 millimeters at times. The thunderstorm risk for tomorrow is in the southeast, but we're only at a level 1 out of 4 risk. Having said that, though, the funnel cloud risk shifts eastward tomorrow, and we could see a few of those pop up and maybe a few brief weak tornadoes tomorrow afternoon. If you're not seeing those landspout tornadoes, it's still going to be windy, gusts 60 to 70 at times, especially in southern Saskatchewan. High pressure, though, calming things down as we get into Saturday. So for Regina, another 10 to 15 millimeters tomorrow with possible thunderstorms. Not very warm Saturday in the sunshine. That warmth comes Sunday, Monday, but there is a risk of some storms for the holiday before we then transition into another system moving through Tuesday, Wednesday, which will bring us another round of showers and storms as temperatures drop back down. Saskatoon, I think at the most another 5 to 10 millimeters. That'll be primarily falling in the morning tomorrow before things clear out in the afternoon. Well, the first part of the weekend's nice, and then it's just rain, 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 rain. Not exactly looking like the first week of July here, Sam.
Dude, I'm on holidays next week.
Well,
fix it.
That's not my problem.
Fix it.
I'll fix it for when I'm on vacation.
Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. We have more news after the break. Governor General Mary Simon has announced 83 new appointments to the Order of Canada. They include trailblazing athletes, academics, and billboard charting performers. Olivia Stefanovic reports.
From a small-town Canadian girl turned global rock star Avril Lavigne to prolific singer-songwriter Danielle Lavoie, Canadian cultural icons are being recognized by Rideau Hall, joining a list of 83 new recipients to one of the country's highest honors.
When I first got the news, I was absolutely shocked.
Nice feed across the ice, shot, goal, Jim Kite.
Jim Kite was the first deaf player in NHL history. Now he's being inducted into the Order of Canada after decades championing the rights of athletes with physical disabilities.
There's so many people that told me that I could not do certain things because of my hearing impairment. or my background or whatever. And I just had a little voice inside me say, oh yeah, just watch me.
Solomon Rat also being celebrated for preserving and revitalizing the Cree language.
I started teaching in 1984, and at that time, very few elementary schools or high schools were teaching the language.
The white dialect, A.
Rat went on to develop the first bachelor's degree in Cree at the First Nations University of Canada.
Young adults wanted to learn about their culture.
The significance is still sinking in for Bill Jansen, a Mennonite leader instrumental in the creation of the private sponsorship of refugees program.
There was a feeling we have to do something.
Mobilizing Canadians to support those forced to flee their country.
It just resonated with the people of Canada in a deep way.
Jansen helped thousands find a new home here, a country now saying thanks by honoring his efforts. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
The federal health minister announced the Universal Dental Care Program is expanding to include those under 18 and people who receive the disability tax credit.
This means that a family who's having to make that choice about whether or not they pay groceries or they get the oral health care that's preventative for their family, they don't have to make that choice anymore. It means for a person with disabilities that where they often have such complex issues that the costs involved in getting oral health care are totally impossible to them. A barrier beyond even those that they've got to face every day just trying to get in and out of buildings, that now that's gone.
The government estimates 1.2 million people will now be able to apply. Critics say it still leaves out a lot of vulnerable Canadians, but the government says they will also be covered when the federal program expands further next year. By then, every uninsured Canadian with a household income of less than $90,000 a year will be eligible. And Ethan's back with a promise to fix the weather?
Maybe over the weekend, and then not so much after that. Yeah, sorry. Going to be rainy in Regina tonight at midnight, and a little breezy as well, still gusting to 50, those winds out there. Should be seeing mostly cloudy skies by the morning, maybe some showers. Temperature holding steady around 14. That's about the best we're going to get tomorrow afternoon. And then the possibility of some more showers and possible thunderstorms again, those winds near 70 by the noon hour. Saskatoon, warning level criteria, rain tonight, 30 to 40 millimeters at times. And then as we get into tomorrow morning, some light rain already by 8 a.m. I think by then the worst of the rain will be over. And then by the noon hour, look at that, maybe even a little bit of some sun. So some rain, Sam, and a little bit of a treat to end the day.
But with those wind gusts, an umbrella is not going to help you.
It's going to be nasty.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we go, an update on a story we told you about recently. Stephen Walser and his service dog were gearing up to graduate from high school, and today the pair walked across the stage at Vanier Collegiate in Moose Jaw.
Stephen Walser.
Walser has autism and had a tough time during his childhood, but his mom says things changed when he first got his first service dog named Bingo at the age of 10. His current dog is Doug and has helped him thrive in school. Today, Walser graduated with honors and this fall is heading to the University of Saskatchewan to study engineering. Congratulations to all the high school graduates. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can head to our website. You can subscribe to our CBC YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.